Here we go.
Welcome to the Mind Body Business Show. The 3 keys to your success is just moments away. Here's your host, Brian Kelly.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mind Body Business Show. We have an amazing show lined up for you because of our amazing guest expert who is coming on very soon, Jessica Silverman. She is an amazing young woman. I can't wait for you to meet her because of the things she is doing, the people she is serving, the amazing entrepreneur that she is. We'll bring her on very soon, I promise. The Mind Body Business Show. What is that all about? Well, in my course of now nearly 55 years on this planet, I began focusing on just folks that were successful and not those that weren't. And what I began to find were there were patterns that developed amongst everyone who was successful that I followed and studied. And what I've learned were there were 3 pillars to success. And you might have one nice little clue if you look up to the side here of what that might be. 3 areas that each individual had mastered. The first being that of mind or mindset. Developing a powerful, empowered mindset from the subconscious level is paramount not only to your success in business, but in life, personal relationships included, because let's face it, business is built on relationships. There's really very little difference between the two. And then there's body. What is that all about? Well, that is exactly what it stands for, is taking care of your body. And that's what successful entrepreneurs do. They take care of what they eat. They take take note. They really are discerning on what they eat, what they drink, and they also exercise on a regular basis. Now, I'm not talking you have to achieve bodybuilder status and or be an Adonis or a supermodel. We're just talking about doing those things that propel you farther, because the mind and body are a team. In fact, the mind and body are your team. And if either of those team members aren't operating at a top level, well, then you as a whole are operating at less than the peak level of performance. And then there's the third area that successful entrepreneurs I noticed had mastered, and that's the realm of business, and that is multifaceted. There's marketing, sales, team building, systematizing, leadership. There's a lot that goes into business. And what I found was every one of these successful entrepreneurs had mastered most, if not all, of those areas on their own, and those that they did not master on their own, maybe just due to the fact they did not have the skills or weren't wired to be able to do that. Like, not everybody can be a professional basketball player for obvious reasons, and they would then delegate that. So skill set, leadership, that's all part of it. Mind Body Business Show, and this whole show is designed for you, the viewer, the listener, the person that is trying to learn how to become successful. All you have to do is model, which means copy, the person you're about to see. The person you're about to see, Jessica Silverman. Listen to her tonight, take very copious notes, and then implement what you learned tonight after the show is over. And along the lines of successful people, one of the things I also noted of everyone, without fail, of those people that were successful, was that they were avid readers. And they didn't just read any books, they read the books that would help propel them farther in their business. And so with that, I like to segue into a section I appropriately call bookmarks.
Bookmarks. Born to read. Bookmarks. Ready, steady, read. Bookmarks. Brought to you by reachyourpeaklibrary.com.
Yes, reachyourpeaklibrary.com. By the way, I mentioned earlier, it is a good thing to take notes, and this would be one of those times. We are going to be mentioning between Jessica and I some resources for you to take advantage of, in the form of website addresses. And so rather than typing it into your browser and running off to check it out, instead resist that temptation. I recommend, and take notes. Write it down on a piece of paper or open up a notepad on your computer, whatever your favorite form of note-taking is, and then go visit them later after the show's over, because here's why. The magic happens in the room, and this is our virtual room. We are in a seminar type of atmosphere with a workshop type mentality where you are going to learn an immense amount of golden nuggets that will help you propel your business farther. And Jessica is the reason you're going to learn that. I can't wait. We're bringing her on soon, I promise. So Reach Your Peak Library, what is that? That is a website that I put together literally with you in mind, the viewer, the entrepreneur, the person that maybe hasn't even started their business yet but wants to. And what I've done is, over the course of years, is read voraciously a lot of books that were based on business, about personal development, fitness, everything that mind, body, and business encompasses. And this is a list that I have personally read. And so I vet these personally, and I recommend them. And so if you haven't been reading, this is a great resource for you to go to, because now you don't need to guess. You can say, well, at least one other successful person has found value in this book. I'm going to go check one of these out. And just grab the first one that jumps out. Don't overanalyze. There's 40 books in here. I've read far more than that should be on this list. I'm just not caught up. But just pick the first one and get moving. It's all about taking action, as Jessica knows. I see her on the wings on camera. You can't see her yet, and she is nodding in full agreement. That's because she knows she's a successful entrepreneur in her own right. And, mentioning Jessica reminds me that it's probably about time we bring her on. What do you think? Let's do it. Here she comes.
It's time for the Guest Expert Spotlight. Savvy, skillful, professional, adept, trained, big league, qualified.
And there she is, ladies and gentlemen. The one, the only, Jessica Silverman. How are you doing tonight, Jessica?
I am wonderful. Thank you so much for asking. Yes, I was nodding in the wings, agreeing with everything that you were saying and bubbling to speak, but I sat in silence waiting. So
fantastic. And you're coming to us all the way from Florida, so I'm in Southern California. That's the beauty of doing a live internet-based show, is no one needs to travel, and we can do this at an instant, and it's amazing technology to do so. Jessica, right before I formally introduce you, what I'd like to do is remind all of our viewers that those who stay on with us, that are watching live, to the very end of the show, I will give you the information to give you the opportunity to win a 5-night stay at a 5-star luxury resort in Mexico, compliments of our friends at powertexting.com. Powertexting.com, write that down if you're taking notes. You definitely want to check that out. I use that very technology. You will see it in action toward the end of the show, so stay to the end. We give away one of these every single show. And just so you know, these are not one of those, we're going to hook you, bring you in, and pitch you a timeshare for half of your first day there. There is no timeshare pitch going on at all. How do I know this? The owner of powertexting.com, the founder, Jason Nast, he's a good friend of mine. He tested it. He actually went to, I forget the name of it, Rocky Point, I think, in Mexico. And he said it was an amazing experience. Took his daughter, had a blast. So stay tuned for that. Now, let's bring on the star of the hour. Jessica Silverman is a biz startup coach to aspiring entrepreneurs seeking greater clarity and simplicity to live their true life's purpose. Through her coaching, she guides her clients with mind-body empowerment tools. Do you see the patterns here? To spark the transformation of a physical and spiritual awakening to live and feel their most alive self. At an even deeper level, the core foundation of her teachings unleash a deep understanding of one's energy, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. This is amazing. From the place of energy insight, she can awaken this wisdom towards healing, enlightenment, and a deeper awareness of one's divine purpose. At last, Jessica Silverman, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I've heard my bio many times guesting on other podcasts, and for some reason it triggers me emotionally every single time, as I always tell my clients when they write content, that it's your words and it's personal. And when you create something, it's just such a beautiful thing. No matter how many times you hear it, you have that deep emotional connection to it. So thank you for the great
Oh, absolutely. And a large part of that comes to the deep rooted passion you have for helping people, and that's where a lot of the emotion originates from. And that's why you are successful, because you have found something that moves your passion needle all the way to the end. It pegs it. And that's amazing. And that's a tool in its own right. That's a teaching moment in its own right. There's a lot of controversy over, well, you should do what you're passionate about. No, just do what makes money. When it comes down to it, if you don't like what you're doing and you're an entrepreneur, you will struggle mightily. I kid you not. I've done it. I'm product of the product. Now I found what I'm passionate about, and it's so much easier, isn't it, Jessica? When you find something that you align with, it's like it's not easy, it's easier.
Exactly. And as I always say, when you focus on what you're passionate about, the money comes, right? But when you focus just on the money, it's a short-term thing, because eventually you'll get burnt out, right? Energy, right? You read that all in my bio. Energetically, you're out of alignment with what you truly want to do, right? And you're always in flux, and you're forcing something that's really not there. And so eventually, right, that candle tends to burn itself out. So when you do what you love, the money comes. I'm a firm believer in that, and I'm living proof. So
Totally concur. It may be fun in the beginning because you are making money, and there's that. It's like getting a quick high on a bad drug. If anyone knows what that's like. It's like it's euphoric in the beginning, I guess, and then at the end it's crash. But with
hangover.
Yeah, there you go. So with something you're passionate about, it's like a marital relationship, a good one, where it's loving. There are ups and downs. My gosh, I just thought of this, Jessica. There are ups and downs, but it's like a stock that's always trending up. You see the peaks and valleys, but the trend line is up, always improving, and it's a fun. You know what? That stuff, that's a fun ride. I love it.
It's a roller coaster, right? Roller coasters go up and down. They don't just go straight up. So, and like I always say, that's the stock chart, which I'm glad you mentioned. That's my previous past, where I came from in corporate finance. So I do relate still everything to that. It's never a straight line, right? Nothing is linear, right? There's peaks and valleys, right? As I always say, if you want to relate it to nature, there's 12 hours of sunlight, just like 12 hours of darkness. And that's the way the world was created, to be right, high and low, to be dark and light, to be right, kind of that paradigm between both energies. So.
Absolutely. What would happen, Jessica, if it was always just awesome and there was never any kind of valleys? I mean, what would we have to compare this awesomeness against, right?
Exactly.
This is a good time to ask this question. I've asked it in the past, not every time, but okay, Jessica, you're an entrepreneur, you're successful. What if there was an actual ceiling? And just suppose for a moment there is. And you have climbed that ladder, you've climbed that mountain, that rocky peak, and it's up and down, and then finally you get to the top, and there's the ceiling. That's it. I've made it. Hooray. I've hit the absolute top. Success is mine. What would that feel like to you, knowing that there's no more growth possible to go farther forward? I can get it.
I think that would feel defeating, because personally, and I know all entrepreneurs have this within them, or they wouldn't be entrepreneurs, is the ability to constantly improve, right? And that's why I say you're never there, right? It's an ever evolving process, but I think that's what makes it so beautiful, because it's infinite, right? Just like the world is infinite. And speaking of books, I follow Deepak Chopra devoutly. I've heard him speak numerous times, and there's something that he said in his talk that has stuck with me every time this concept of infinity comes about, where he says, we're 0.00000 to infinity, right? % of this universe. As humans, we think we know everything. We think that we have it all worked out and everything has to be logical, but that's not how the universe works, right? The universe is so much bigger than ourselves, right? And that's why we don't really know all the answers. But I think that's part of the beauty of this whole journey, right? Of life and entrepreneurship and how it's all connected, is the not knowing. Of course, you do need to have, right, some structure in place. And I'm not saying to just meditate on a mountain and hope that everything falls into place, because that lends itself to chaos, as we know with the world today. But I think that just knowing that is beautiful, that there is no ceiling, right? And that really the world is infinite, and starting this journey of entrepreneurship has really taught me that there is no ceiling, right? That the world, sounds cliche, but the world really is your oyster. It really all depends on your perception, though, of it. If you're not willing to see past that, if you're not willing to, like you said, ride that roller coaster, then you will feel defeated. You will create your own ceiling, right? Speaking of ceiling, in your own mind. And I think that's where a lot of entrepreneurs get stuck, right? Is they trip on that rock and they're like, oh, well, I'm not meant to do this. But they don't really give themselves the chance to understand that there really is no place to achieve. It's an ever evolving journey, and that every day you're better than the day before, and that's a continuous process of improvement, or as the Japanese call it, kaizen.
Yeah, and that's a great point. The reason people fail or stop is really because the passion isn't great enough for what they're doing. And another way of describing that is their why is not empowering enough to keep them going. I've gone through a process, a little exercise, several times to determine my why, to see if it would change. For me, each and every time it comes up the same. It's my wife. I get up, I breathe, I am happy, I am sad. Everything is for my wife. I love her so much. We're high school sweethearts. That's my why. It doesn't mean that it has to be anyone else's why, their spouse, significant other. But it is one of those things. She is someone I would die for, and I would never quit because she's that important to me. And when I find something I'm passionate about and then tie my why to it, look out. It's done. Katie bar the door, as they would say. So you know what, Jessica, I'm convinced now that you and I were separated at birth. Somehow you look way younger than me, but I think we're twins that were separated because, I mean, you're lockstep. This is like perfect. Resonates.
Not as
100%.
young as I look, though.
What's that?
I told you that before. Remember we had the Mr. T conversation. I'm like, not as young as I look. I know who Mr. T is. Lighting and makeup.
I love it. Yeah. Anyway, I don't touch those areas when it comes to women. Never. You look amazing. I can't believe, in talking to you earlier about your accolades, I can't believe you've been on Earth long enough to do that based on your youthful looks. So kudos to you. And that comes to you taking care of yourself, a lot of that, for sure. So good job. So we talk about passion. We talk about the mindset, right? And the why. So when you get up, one of the things I'm always curious about, Jessica, especially with successful entrepreneurs as yourself, I love to get into their mind, and I'm not getting weird here. I love to find out what makes them tick. In particular, one example would be like when you're about to get up, you're waking up, your feet swing over the bed, they hit the floor, you're sitting there, and if you're anything like me, you're a little bit groggy. You're coming to, and you're starting to become aware that, okay, a new day is upon me. And then the excitement, the drive, the motivation starts to kick in, and you begin to wake up at an accelerated rate. For you, what is that thing or things that starts that motor running in the morning that gets you driven to take on the day?
To me, what gets me out of bed, and I'm glad you bring up this concept because I preach this so much in my work, again, is this, and I'm very aligned with Japanese philosophy. I don't know why, as you can see, I'm not Japanese, but this concept of ikigai, which literally translates to your why, your purpose, your reason for being, what gets you out of bed, right? Exactly as you said. And for me, it's knowing that I can touch someone's life today, right? If I just touch one person's life today, one woman or man or whoever is following me on social media that's struggling, and I can just say that one thing that elevates them from a dark place of whatever they're going through, that's what gets me out of bed, right? It's very selfless, because to me, when you stay silent, you surrender your power to do that, right? When you don't share your story, when you don't get out there, and it's not always easy. I mean, I sit here now and I do interviews and I talk and I get on Facebook Lives, but when I first started, I had much anxiety around this. And that's what I tell women, all the women I work with and everyone that follows me online, that you will feel that. You will feel that anxiety. Like, what if people don't understand me? Or what if the words don't come out right? And some of these things, right, go through my mind as I'm about to go through my day as well. You know, to be very real, there's a lot going on. And what if I can't be the best for everybody? But you will, because I always say you can't say the wrong thing to the right person, right? The right person speaks your soul language. Like you said, like separated at birth, right? We understand, it's that mutual understanding. And I think that's really what inspires me to get out of bed every day. First thing probably a terrible habit, but get on my phone and see if my clients email me or what's going on in my world and on social media. But it really invigorates me. And the spirit of All My Brand is about coming alive. And I think the coming alive comes from the ability to share stories, because it's these stories that empower other people. And it's your story, my story, that makes us unique. And I hear this so much in the marketplace. Well, who am I? And there's so many wellness coaches, or there's so many business coaches. How am I going to stick out in the marketplace online in a crowded market? Is to be yourself. I mean, nobody has the exact same story that you've been through, and nobody has the same exact experiences that you went through, but it's having vulnerability and opening up and sharing those stories and not being afraid to continue sharing, right? The light and the dark, because it's all part of us. We all have that within us. And when you speak up, you empower other people to do the same.
Fantastic. And I wanted to note that there is absolutely, for anyone watching that does the same thing, I do it as well. One of the first things I want to get up is I look at my phone as well. There's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of people that think that's the horrible thing to do. Here's the real deal. Everyone, including Jessica and myself, successful entrepreneurs, has their own routine that they go through each and every morning. It doesn't matter what that routine is, as long as it works for you. That's it. So there's no need to be ever ashamed or sad, and this is for everybody. It struck a chord that I've heard so many people tell me that, I shouldn't do this, but when I get in, I don't even get out of bed and I'm reading my phone. I have a really, really close friend who does this before he goes to sleep, and he does it before he gets out of bed. And he's successful. So be it. Model success. Do what works for you. It doesn't matter. I wanted to get that in there.
Exactly. No, I completely agree. And, same thing with TV. Like, I'll read all these articles, right? And all these mind body journals that, too much TV, but it depends what you watch, right? It's all about what you expose your mind to. It's all about perception. I don't personally watch a lot of violent TV because I don't want that in my horizon. It doesn't speak to the spirit of my life and my brand. But if you watch inspiring shows, if you get lost in a good story, like I said, that can absolutely, right, invigorate you and do you, right? At the end of the day, if it works for you and you're successful, then why listen to everybody else?
Bingo. Thank you so much for that, because we are all unique individuals, unique human beings. And you just have to find that sweet spot that works for you. And if you're not sure what that is, certainly you can talk to Jessica. You can talk to me. You can talk to anyone that's been on my show in the past. Just go to the website and look them up and ask them, what is your routine? And then try different types of things that are being done for successful people in their routines. And that's it. It's simple. Just model success. Hey, we got a few people. Yeah, Jessica, Marcia Green says that. Boudica, how are you doing? I know him personally. He's a photographer, a phenomenal individual, an entrepreneur himself. And Christine Lindstrom says yes to everything you're saying. I love it.
Love it.
And for those of you watching online live right now, go ahead, type in questions if you have any questions for Jessica. Time permitting, we will definitely bring those up on the air as we go forward. We are streaming right now live to 10 different platforms simultaneously, several on Facebook. Periscope is included, YouTube, Twitch, Mixer, it goes on and on. So anywhere you're watching, go ahead and ask a question. We will see that come up in the chat interface, and we'll definitely address it. Again, time permitting. But the real value here is to talk with Jessica, to get her mind out of her mind, through her audio, out of her mouth, and into your ears, so you guys can all then reap the rewards of her brilliance and achieve success like she has. Does that sound pretty cool? I mean, how much is this costing you all to watch? Nothing, right? At least not yet. I might put this in a membership site later. I don't know. And I will tell you this, absolute honest truth. I've been to so many seminars and events. I was telling you this before we went on the air, Jessica, that it's hard to count, hard to quantify. And I've learned an immense amount of great things from them. And I'm not saying this because I'm the host. I'm the recipient. I'm the host, but I'm like the most blessed person on the earth, because I get to interview and learn from people like Jessica. And I learn from every single guest. You cannot find this content in any seminar, workshop, anything out there that I've ever experienced. And you would normally be charged a healthy amount of money to have access to something like this. I kid you not, because of what is discussed on the show and the value. And we're going to dive deeper into that. And so I just want to raise that up. I only have the best on this show, and Jessica is definitely one of those. Jessica, I talked about briefly in the beginning about the importance of reading and how it has greatly impacted those who are successful. I had a past guest, for instance, who spent 8 hours a day, this was in his younger years, 8 hours a day, every day, as if it were his job, reading those kind of books that you saw in Reach Your Peak Library. And he self-taught himself into immense success as a direct result. So his mentors are authors of books. For you, and I never take it to that extreme, but they, oh my gosh, they're part of my life. Would you consider yourself to be an avid reader as well? Which I'm assuming that answer has already been taken care of. And what would you say is your favorite of all books when it comes to the art of business? And it doesn't have to be strictly business. It could be something that had to do with mindset that helped propel your business. What comes to the top of your mind?
The Surrender Experiment. So it took me a second because I've read so many incredible books, and a lot of them which were in your library as well. Darren Hardy is definitely on the top. I was recently in his 90-day challenge because he's all about, of course, the body as well. So it was about doing a mile every day for 90 days, and reviewed his podcast and actually got a signed copy of the Entrepreneurial Roller Coaster book, which I have yet to read. I just actually got that the other day. So I look forward to reading that. Compound Effect was one of my favorite books. I actually read that while I was still in my corporate finance position, transitioning to entrepreneurship. And I think it's amazing how you always find the books in divine timing as to the point in your life that you need to read them, because it's business, right? It's all about finance, really, and right, the time value of money and all of that. But I love how he connects it to real life. And so that actually wasn't the first book I was going to say, but thinking about your library, I had to bring up Darren Hardy as well. But number one was The Surrender Experiment, Michael Singer, and The Untethered Soul. Those are two of his books that are my all-time favorites. And it's really because he dives so deep into the intricacies, like you mentioned, of the mind and how the mind works and how it's actually connected scientifically to the body. Because a lot of people have a hard time conceptualizing the mind and how it works and all this esoteric, right, mind, body, spirit type of concepts in the world. But when you actually connect it to proven science, that's when the logic piece, right, really steps in. And that's where he really kind of explains it. Like, for instance, when you have a thought, whether it's anxiety, whether it's excitement, whether it's fear, and you feel it in a mind becomes, right, then a feeling, right, what you think affects what you feel, and then you take an action. But it all, and I remember he mentioned this in an Untethered Soul. Surrender Experiment was also a wonderful book. But it gets stuck in the heart center, which if you think about it, makes logical sense because the heart is where you feel all your emotions, right? It affects the blood that flows through your body, right? And either creates a sense of anxiety, creates a sense of excitement, maybe depression, right? Whatever type of feeling that it is. But again, all triggered by thoughts. We know this. Do we apply it? I don't know. Typically not, right? Mind and body, right? Sometimes are out of alignment with the knowing and the doing, right? I always say they're two completely different things. But both of those books are very different, but very amazing. The Surrender Experiment was his autobiography, so it's a true story. Wow. I always love a true story, and especially in mediums like this, you mentioned golden nuggets, and that's why it is different than a paid content or a seminar, because it's not scripted, it's real stories that people can relate to. And it's all these little details like, oh, I love that book, or, oh, she mentioned this color or this person, and I connect. And that's where that, like you said, business is connection. That's where this all comes about, and that's what's made me successful. And Michael Singer, I think, really does a beautiful job in both his books. The Surrender Experiment, which I won't give it away, but basically was all about how he said yes to everything for years and years and years, even though he may not have felt right in his soul that was the right thing, but he was led to know later that his purpose was there, right? And by saying yes, he allowed that to happen, and how he was kind of a yes man, and the universe brought him to exactly where he needed to be in business and then in his spiritual career.
So much there, Jessica. So much there. That is phenomenal that you brought up that book at this time, because I kid you not, just 2 nights ago on the show, I had a wonderful woman, Jenny Harkleroad, who recommended a book very similar, it sounded in nature, to what you just described. So I wrote down the book you recommended, and it's going to be in my Audible library very soon. Nice. I do this after every show. I go and buy the books that are being recommended by successful entrepreneurs like yourself. And the other one was The Biology of Belief.
Yes,
by
I own
Bruce
that book.
Lipton. That is a deep one. I love it. Oh my goodness.
Epigenetics, yes. Very
Yes.
again, it connects science to spirit, right? Or what
Yeah.
people think is spirit or e-logic. It's really logical.
And it's true. It's your thoughts. We go through. I've gone through a process or an exercise from stage where we call it T-BEAR. It's an acronym. Your thoughts. When you think something long enough, it's ingrained in your mind. It then becomes your belief. And then your belief becomes so strong that you would go to the mat for it. And if ever challenged or if given the other side and you're passionate about it, that evokes emotion. And then emotion evokes action because we are human beings. So this comes down when it comes to sales. People buy on emotion. They don't buy on logic. Logic is the path to get to the emotion to then make the purchasing decision. And once the action occurs or the emotion drives that action, that's how you get the results in your life. And it all starts with what Jessica just said, your thoughts. And this book and the book she just recommended, both, I highly recommend that you all pick up both of these books. So it is The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer and The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton, Dr. Bruce Lipton. Amazing. I'm almost done with that one. This is one of those rare ones I will listen to several times. And Marcia Green, who's on Facebook, has a phenomenal question that I would like to bring to you, Jessica. It's right on track with mindset. And her question is, how do you stay positive and have excitement that lasts? That's a great question.
I think that's $1 million question. And I would say to that question, I would answer, just like you said, biologically, it's a programming, right? So it starts with a thought and it transpires right to the heart center, and then it becomes a reality, right, in your physical body. And it's all at the cellular level, right? Because the mind speaks to every other part of the body and tells the cells what to do. So in order to, right, and I didn't always lead a positive life, and that's why this is a perfect question for me, because I've lived one reality and now I live another. It's a matter of the things you do every single day to continue programming that, right? Just like our technology, which is another one of my favorite loves, right? But we are very similar to technology in that what we program in our lives every single day, what books we read, who we connect with, what does your physical space look like, right? Every single day. And I actually put kind of 3 things here to kind of, I always say good things come in threes, right? How do you continue to stay positive, and what are kind of the must-haves, you know, that you need to do every single day to maintain, right, and sustain this positive life and not to ride the highs and lows. I think number 1 is not to expect to always be positive, right? So even though, of course, I'm on here and I'm very high energy, I'm a human being too, right? I have ups and downs in my life, but it's when you attach to them, right? And the Buddhists always say that attachment is the root of all suffering. So it's being able to detach from that negative emotion to the point where it doesn't affect you, right? And that's where it's a practice, right? It's a matter of what you do every single day, right? The books that you read, everything that you're ingesting energetically, right, in your physical environment, right? What you're seeing, what you're feeling, what you're tasting, what you're hearing. And that all comes down to these 3 things I talk about. So number 1 is energy, right? And everything, it's my favorite Einstein quote, everything is energy, right? So everything that you are exposed to physically and subconsciously, right? So those are the things that you're not necessarily aware of, but you're still picking up. And that's why I say it's important to be aware of the things that you're aware of and not aware of. But of course, I know a lot of people are thinking, well, how can I be aware of what I'm not aware of? And that's a process, right? But it's really about being present, right? Being in the moment, really just staying attuned in every moment to your 5 senses, right? Like I said, what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what you're experiencing. And to know that even if something is playing in the background, so let's say you're cooking dinner and the news is on, right? And the news is, of course, one of the most negative outlets of media that there is. You're taking that on yourself. So even though you're not realizing that you're exposed to that, right, you are. And so I think to be positive is consistently immerse yourself, number 1, in that energy. Number 2, to set boundaries. Another book, just to share, sorry if this is off topic, that I'm reading right now actually is Do Less by Kate Northrup. Her mother, the lovely Christiane Northrup, who talks a lot about energy vampires, right? And not letting people around you bring you down to the level where they're dulling your light, right? And if it's something somebody you have to be around, then just kind of minimizing that exposure, or building that shield, or making your practices that keep you positive even stronger to outshine, right, that energy awareness, and just setting boundaries around that, energetic boundaries. And then I think number 3, as I said before, is physical environment. What you're around. Are you spending enough time in nature? Do you have a daily prayer meditation practice? Are you connected to something bigger than yourself? Are you involved in community, right? To get that sense of belonging, right? Because at the end of the day, I know Oprah says this all the time, and I love it. At the end of the day, as human beings, we all have 2 main desires, and that's to be seen and to be heard. And so I think to fuel both of those desires keeps one positive, as well as we talked about before, knowing why you're here. I always say this pretty much on every talk I'm on, because it's something that I love, that I learned years ago, that the day you were born is the day the universe decided it needed you. You are not an accident to be born into this world. And when you know why, and you can tap into that, I think no matter what goes on in your world, that keeps you positive every single day. That's the life that I live.
Fantastic. And I love the ending point there about we are no accident. Boy, you know what the odds were against us existing just on, the physical nature alone.
Exactly.
When you talk about how many sperm are released in the egg, and the odds of one sperm reaching all the way and penetrating after that, and it's a miracle in its own right, every single one of us. And that's just a small part of the miracle. And then everything that happens after that, it's amazing, and that we survive, and that we thrive, and we become adults, and I think we all have a purpose, and that is to serve others, and that's where entrepreneurs all come together all the time. And nothing against at all those that are in a corporate world. They are serving others. They're serving their families and their significant others by making money, putting food on the table. They may be serving a cause that they believe in by working for certain corporations. And so I think we're put on this earth to serve other human beings ultimately. When you peel the onion away, and that's why I always love being around a herd of entrepreneurs. That's why I went to so many events. It felt like I was amongst my second family, and it was just instant, positiveness. There was no can't-do attitudes around. Everyone was happy and upbeat. Most had spent a lot of money to be there, and were very happy, and yours truly included. So love that, love it all. Now, another area of successful entrepreneurs, and Jennifer is like, yes, and Jennifer Hirschberger with hands. I think those are clapping. I can never get the emojis down. Oh, that's it. All right. The high tens.
The high, yeah. I tend to use that often. So maybe subconsciously you should pick up on that.
Yeah. So, it's mind. The show's about mind, body, and business. And you talk about mind, body, and spirituality, emotion and energy. So along that line, one of those is body. And at some point, the physical nature of our existence does have something to do with what we're doing on this earth and how well we're doing it. And so I was just curious, from your standpoint, Jessica, when it comes to physical fitness, is that something that you find of importance for yourself? And is it any different of importance for your business or your personal life? Or is it equal? What does that mean to you?
It's number one. I say that all the time. I mean, I know we spoke earlier, and a lot of people have been following me for a while. I know that's where I started, right? As wellness and that whole body and taking care of yourself. And you have to, right? As an entrepreneur. So it is absolutely connected to business, because if you're not taking care of yourself, number one, you don't have anything to give, right? You're running the candle at both ends. Your body, as Jim Rohn said, and I love this quote, your body's the only place that you have to live. So if you're not taking care of that, right, you start to feel it. Obviously at a physical energy level, you don't have the capacity to give to others. And I always say entrepreneurship is very, of course I am very high energy, but it's high energy work. And so I always say, and that's why I start my day, yes, I do tap on my phone, but I do exercise. I do read positive books, listen to podcasts, constantly immersing myself in positivity to get that energy high to start the day. I mean, sometimes I work out later in the day, but of course, how you fuel your body, right? The food that you eat, it's all connected. And so absolutely, I think that is number one, is taking care of yourself, right? Whether that's what you eat, how much you move. I mean, that's energy, right? And if you think about something, energy that stays still, like for water, for instance, right? Water, our bodies are made up of 70% water. if that's stagnant, what happens? It creates mold, it creates mildew, right? It rots. And so you have to keep your body moving, right, to be able to maintain, right, the level of energy that you desire to be able to do your work. And so that's why I say that that is a number one priority. And we've all felt it because we're human, the points where we start to feel burnt out. I always tell my clients, how does it feel in your body, right? You can say you don't know because your mind plays games on you. But the first step is to ask, check in with your body. Do you feel tense? Do you feel it in your neck? Do you feel it in your shoulders? It affects all of us differently. But your body is the best indicator for what's going on, right, in your mental life, right? They're all connected. And so I think staying attuned to that, right, that whole body awareness is really key. Not to say, like you said, that you've got to have a trainer and do CrossFit or anything like that. As I say, just going outside and taking a walk every single day is really all you need. It's actually, studies have proven that if you hate exercise, just getting outside and taking a 30-minute walk 5 days a week is just as effective. And I can't say or speak highly enough about how much moving your body, your body is energy and 70% water. So again, that really brings it to a logical scientific standpoint as well.
Yeah, and I concur so mightily because I used to also have a fitness business and recently transitioned from that. And I remember going through and developing fitness program after fitness program, and then I started learning from others and thought there's just got to be a better way, because it just seems like too much work and takes too much time. My program, it took a minimum of an hour a day, 6 days a week, which was a lot for busy entrepreneurs. That was my avatar. And then I ran into an individual who had a phenomenal program, but that took me out of my home, number one. I was using everything from home originally, which was perfect for entrepreneurs. They can do it from their hotels. This one took me into a gym, and then it took me almost 2 hours every workout, and I did do it for a while, and I had phenomenal results, but my gosh, it was way too much time now. Like, I got stuff to do. And I've recently come across something, and this is going to raise eyebrows. It did mine, but I did a lot of research before I pulled the trigger. But I'm doing something now that literally takes, Jessica, you may not believe this either, 10 minutes a day. And it really involves strength training, and strength training is where it's at. And that's what I learned at a deep level from the previous trainer that I met with, who I was doing the 2-hour workouts with. And this fits the bill in all different ways. And so, to let the cat out of the bag, I literally did my workout 15 minutes before we went on the air together, before you joined. And it was done. Awesome. I'm done. And it's awesome. Anyway, yeah. I agree with you.
Similar, but it's 30 minutes. I do circuit training.
Yeah.
And because I used to, again, have that all or nothing mindset of like, well, if I can't spend an hour at the gym, then what is the effect of it?
Right.
And I started doing similar. It's about 30 minutes, a mix of strength and cardio, minute on, minute off. So it like tricks the mind. So you really never get into that mindset of like, I'm bored or getting tired. I'm exhausted. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. And it just kind of keeps you going. And I really love it. And I've seen results, significant results.
That's the
30 minutes, right? It's work smart, not hard, right? And
that
that's my
is
motto.
the bottom line to entrepreneurship. I hope everyone heard this word out of Jessica's mouth right there. The most important thing about anything that you embark on, no matter how much time it takes, how much money is involved, is the result. If people are getting the results you want and deserve, if what Jessica does, which I know gives results to her clients, then what's holding you back from connecting with her at the end of this show? We're going to give you the opportunity to do so, definitely. And that's all that matters. Please write that in big, big letters on your sheet of paper. Make it an entire sheet of paper and make it dark and say results. That's all that matters. That's it. If you do everything in your entrepreneur travels with that in mind, what is the result? What is the outcome going to be if I go down this path? What is my desired outcome? If it's not strong enough, it's the wrong path. So now you just saved yourself a ton of time. I'm saying all this because I've been down that time-wasting path time and time again until I learned this at a deep level. And when you said that word, that lit me up. That was in a great way. Oh, and Marcia Green.
It's a collective effort, though. I always like to tell clients, is just like with a trainer, right? A trainer can give you the workout, but if you're not going to show up and do it, you're not going to see results, right? So similar in this fashion, you can model what I do, or you can get inspired by it, but if you're not actually going to do it,
Oh, yeah. You can learn all you want till the cows come home, but if you don't put it into action, which is unfortunately what I've seen through all these seminars I've been to is, they buy the program and they usually get a big pack of DVDs or CDs or thumb drives, and that ends up on their shelf. And then instead of becoming self-help, it becomes shelf help.
Self-help, yeah.
Never gets touched. And that's very, very important. So a lot of that comes into creating an environment of accountability and to keep them inspired and moving and to hit the finish line, and setting expectations in the beginning so that failure is not an option. It just is not going to be one, and you won't accept it. Because, look, if you didn't do that, then it would be a disservice to them, wouldn't it? Because they will only get the results if they finish the race. And so why would there be any other decision than finishing the race at all? It doesn't matter. Things happen. There's bump in the road. You get knocked back. But that's what people like Jessica are here for, to lift you back up, give you a big pat on the back and say, let's get back on that horse and let's go do it again until we finish, until you get the results you came for. That's why I love what we get to do, Jessica. It's an amazing thing.
I love it too. I always say too, failure is not a bad thing, because in essence, it tells you what not to do. So you kind of want to fail. If you're going to fail fast. So you know exactly, okay, that didn't work. Let me try something else.
Fail fast and fail often, because the more you do and the quicker you do it, the closer you get to those successes. Not just one success. You're going to fail several times, hit a success. Fail several times, hit a success. Fail once, hit a success. Fail a bunch of times, hit a success. It's all over the map. But as long as you have the mindset of being okay with failing, those that aren't are letting their ego get in the way. That's just it. It's bottom line, your ego. And the great thing, the good news is there's ways to really reduce the ego. I don't know if you can really eliminate an ego, but you can greatly reduce it to the point where it's no longer in your way of achieving success. Marcia earlier said, thank you, much gratitude. That was, I think, to your answer to her, how do you stay positive and have excitement, that last, but it's probably for everything you've said up to this point, because I feel that way about what you've said. So thank you so much.
Gratitude.
There is one question that I love asking, there's many, but this one I always love to find what you, in this case Jessica, have found that has really catapulted your business more than any other. And that is in the area of one of the most difficult things that we must master in business, and that's the arena of marketing. Marketing is so multifaceted. There are so many ways to market. Many people don't even realize it, but this show, I'm literally marketing my business right now. They don't even know that, because I'm not pitching anything. And I'm not going to go into the details of how that is a marketing tool. And that's not the purpose of this question. I want to know from you, Jessica, marketing is difficult, and it can be difficult because it's so multifaceted. You need to find something that works and then repeat it and hold on to it for as long as it works. But the problem is trying to find that one thing that works for you, your business model, and everything that goes with it. So for you, what would you say to date has been your most successful form of marketing? It could be Facebook ads, it could be one-on-one, word of mouth, going to events, speaking from stage. What has that one thing thus far been for you?
Facebook groups. Connection. I have used Facebook ads as well. I mean, that's my number one platform. But I really think that instead of focusing on that, and that's why you asked, Facebook ads, I mean, I do it all. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Pinterest, I'm on Instagram. I guest on podcasts, live events. I think being live, is the number one medium, right? So having a community and getting in touch with them. I mean, my tribe knows me in my live group in Facebook. I'm there every single day, whether it's in a post, whether it's Facebook Live. I show up no matter what. But I also think that it's important to have good copy that connects, because at the end of the day, we're all kind of saying the same thing, but it's the way you say it that really sticks out, right, in terms of marketing. So if you're really thinking, okay, this isn't working, or, I'm out there and I'm posting all over the place, but no one's biting, sometimes one word can really change, right? Just like the one word triggered with you, results, right? We all have our trigger words that get us moving, that get us motivated, that connect one to the other. And I'm a writer, so to me, copy is really everything, right? So you can be all over the place and you can create ads and you can automate your business, but if what you're automating and buying ads isn't speaking to people, then how effective is that really going to be? That's my motto.
Love it. The bottom line there is connections. Through different vehicles, through different platforms, if you will. different means, but Facebook groups, that was an eyebrow raiser for me in a good way. I'm like, oh, I like that, because groups have become very powerful, and specifically they have become way more powerful than Facebook pages. Pages
Yes.
are almost a dying breed because organically they are not, and algorithmically they are not being pushed out to our timelines. So when someone posts on a page that we like, we rarely see that. Depends, and I don't know what the algorithm's set up to, but it's rare. You have to actually go to that page, or they need to push it directly to your timeline.
Yes.
But groups are
However,
definitely powerful. Go ahead.
I found a golden nugget. Sorry, you got me all excited when you said Facebook pages are, which I used to preach this all the time to my clients. However, I've tested something recently over the last couple of months, actually. So they must have changed something algorithmically, where if you post first to Instagram and you connect it to your Facebook business page, it does get a lot of looks. And I've tested that probably for a good month or so. Of course, it's important to have good hashtags. That's really the whole theme of Instagram is having good hashtags so you can connect, again, to those communities, right? So that's a hashtag is a community on Instagram, just like a group is to Facebook. But if you do that to the business page, which it's automatic, all you have to do is post to Instagram, click that little radio button, boom, and it automatically posts to both. I've seen a ton more engagement in my audience on Facebook.
Wow, what a phenomenal tip.
You don't even have to buy ads, so it's completely free.
Oh goodness, these are the things I love. Not just because it's free, but because it's effective and it gets, you know what word's coming up? Results, right?
Yes.
And that's what it all comes down to, especially if you can save money on it, because here's the deal. You know, a lot of people have issues with making a lot of money, or other people making a lot of money. For me, I want Jessica to make all the money in the world. I want her to become just exuberantly wealthy. Why? Because knowing her, looking at her, listening to her, feeling what she's saying, I know what she will do with a lot of that money is build a bigger business and serve more people. So isn't it a blessing for Jessica to become extremely wealthy beyond where she is today? Yes, and I want that for her, not the opposite. So many people, that's the ego thing, it's a competitive thing. Oh, you have all this money. It's like, well, God bless you. Thank you, I'm glad you do, because with that, knowing you, that you can really make a larger impact on the world, which is what every one of us as entrepreneurs want to do, don't we? We want to spread our gifts, our experiences that help others to get farther faster. And with money, you know, money's not the end all be all. It's a vehicle to help us to build and impact more lives. Do you agree with that?
Yes, it allows you to do the work. And it's funny, I actually had this conversation with one of my clients on Facebook the other day where I said, I only want to make a ton of money so I can, of course, make a bigger impact. But the money is energy, right? Money is energy. And so I always say, the more money you make, as long as you're channeling that energy for good, God bless you. You know what I mean? Bless you, whatever you believe in, God, universe, spirit, bless you, because you're spreading positivity in the world. And Lord knows we have enough negativity out there. So if you're doing good and you're inspiring people, then bless you, right? Together we rise. So absolutely.
Together we rise. I like that. Oh, Jessica, get that domain name. I'm telling you, that's a good one. All right.
It's powerful, right?
It's powerful. Hey, I can't believe this. We're already, nudging up against the end of the show. Can you believe an hour has already gone by? Almost 6 minutes left. Well, the good news is, this is not on any kind of radio station where they literally cut the cord when it's time to be done. So we can go another hour or two after we're, the original time if you're cool with that. I'm just kidding. I know you would be because you have that energy, but I know you're in Florida and it's almost 10 o'clock there. It's pressing 9:30. So I want to really respect that. Pardon?
I said it's a good thing I'm a night owl. If this was 9 a.m, it might be a whole different interview. So
I love it. Still looking at the phone, just getting out of bed. I love it.
Exactly.
All right. So there's one question I love to basically close the show with, and we won't be 100% closed because don't worry, I haven't forgotten about the giveaway for the vacation for those of you that are still live with us. But there's one question that I've asked every past guest on the show. That's why you have no idea what it is. You didn't have any idea what several of these were tonight, and that's the beautiful thing about being organic, because you can't make this stuff up, and that's why I am so blessed in getting to do what I do. But what I want to do is ask you this question. It's kind of it can be thought of as a heavy hitter, but at the same time, not so much, and it just depends on the individual. And so before I do that, I do want to make good on my promise and let everyone know how they can enter to win that 5-night stay at the 5-star luxury resort in Mexico. So real quick, now at this time and this time only, you have our permission to pull out your phone, to take your eyeballs off the screen if you're not watching this on the phone, and text this to this number, 661-535-1624. Enter that as the phone number to call or to text, and then type the word PEAK, P-E-A-K, in the little message area at the bottom, and then tap the send icon. So again, the number is 661-535-1624, and enter and type in the word PEAK, P-E-A-K, and send that along. Again, this is sponsored by powertexting.com, and you are literally using their technology. Yes, I am a client. By texting that word to that number, you will see it in action directly, and you'll be entered to win, more importantly, or equally as importantly, that 5-night stay at a 5-star Mexican resort in Mexico. All right. And we also do have, a little bird told me that there might be something else that's going to be given away tonight. I think it was, maybe was it you, Jessica? Yeah, it was you. She's got something phenomenal, but right before we announce that, I would like to spring this question on you, if you're okay with that.
Absolutely.
Cool. So, and just in case, I see no like trepidation, no worry on you at all. You're a pro. You've been doing this for a while. I can tell you've been on many podcasts. I appreciate that. Definitely.
I like to shoot from the hip, so the more organic and random, the better.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, and the cool thing about this question, Jessica, is it's unique to each individual. So there's no such thing as a wrong answer. You cannot answer it incorrectly. It's impossible. The only correct answer is your answer. And the interesting thing is, to date, out of all the past guests I've interviewed, it's been well over 50 of them, no two have answered it identically. Not yet. I expect it to happen sooner or later, but not yet. So in case there was any unseen trepidation going on under that very stoic face that you've got going, that's showing nothing but confidence, I love it, then it should be gone by now. And if it takes you a few moments to come up with the answer, that's cool. We don't mind dead air time. That can be a good thing. But it could come to you immediately. Either way, it doesn't matter. It's unique to you. What a build-up, huh?
Right?
All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Go for it.
Okie doke. Jessica Silverman, how do you define success?
And I am going to take that second because I tend to answer very quickly, and I want to answer. There's so many things going through my mind. As those that follow me know, I have a very active mind, and I want to say this simply. But I would say success, if I could simplify that in one word, because I always love one-word answers, it's very powerful. Success is surrender.
Ooh.
Success is surrender. And what I mean by that is letting go of expectations, letting go of the need to know how everything is going to work out, needing to know all the answers. That's success, especially in entrepreneurship, because you are never going to know exactly, right? Of course, most of us do, right? That's why people go to seminars, and that's why people read books, and they want to know that exact 5-step formula, right, to being successful. But I think when you and this is one of my quotes, when you let go of the need to know, the answer comes. And so success to me is surrender. Love
it, because true to form, no one else has answered it that way. I mean, that's one of the most unique answers I've ever heard, and it's a phenomenal and powerful one. As soon as you said it, I understood where you were going with it, and it makes total sense. And that's it. We're beings of, a lot of entrepreneurs, because we are entrepreneurs, we have certain traits. Most entrepreneurs do. Very driven, open to risk-taking, a lot of the similar traits, and also very ego-driven initially. And we want to be right all the time, don't we? As humans, we all do. And with entrepreneurs, I found it's especially even more so than most. And so letting go of the need to know everything That's powerful, Jessica, because...
And this question is a clear example of that, because I had no idea what you were going to ask me. And you said it stoic face. That excites me, not knowing what I'm going to be asked, because when I know, I psychoanalyze and I plan and right. And I think that's where we get ourselves in trouble, right? The whole monkey mind. When I don't know, I'm like, hey, it's just going to let what comes out naturally comes out. And it's always an amazing answer, right? It's always a beautiful thing. It's natural. It's real. It's like off the cuff. So this is a clear example of that. So thank you for that question. I like that.
And thank you for that wonderful answer. I mean, so unique and so beautiful and so powerful. Goodness sakes. Well, we've hit the 6:30 hour, but I still would like to give you some time to go over the wonderful gift that you have put together for folks. And what I'm going to do is switch it over and bring up your site and just have you go over that, if you're okay with this, and explain in your words what wonderful, beautiful gift you have to offer our viewers and listeners tonight.
Yes, and it's beautiful because we started the interview talking about what gets you out of bed, right? And what are your practices and how do you stay high energy? And that's what inspired, when I thought about what do I want to offer people who don't know anything about me, a taste of where I began or where I think you should begin, which is even more important, right? I mean, stories inspire, but you bring it to life by making it your own. And it's this concept called ikigai, right? And it's a Japanese concept. I didn't make it up, but there's actually a cool Nestle commercial, if you Google it, where it shows, because Japan longevity, people live, past 90, they live to be 100, right? They're all the blue zones, right? Are certain cities in Japan. And what is that secret to long life, right? That's the spirit of my brand is coming alive, is this concept of ikigai, right? And it's knowing who you are and it's knowing what gets you out of bed. And this commercial is cool if you watch it because you see people rising, in the morning and they're all running to whatever it is that they do, whether they work in a fish market or they work in a shoe store, whatever their craft is, but it's loving that, right, with all their heart. And as I said before, when you do what you love, the money comes. And I know in theory that sounds wonderful. In application, right, it's a whole different thing. And it's a million little things as anything else. But this is a start, right? It's 4, I love simple but profound questions that I don't think a lot of us take enough time to really think about. What do you love? What does the world need? That's my favorite absolute question, right? We don't think about that. What does the world need? And where is my place in all of that, right? And you'll see when you download this, and there's a short video where I sort of explain this process of ikigai, your reason for being. That's step 1, right? So if you're out there, like Brian said, you're in a corporate path, that's awesome, right? Because when you're doing this work, your company, and this is the way I always think about it, mindset, is an investor in your business, your venture, whatever your side hustle, whatever it is that you want to do. That is your investor, right, in that business. And doing all this work, right, of course, is an investment as well. And so if you go to that website and you sign up, it's absolutely free. You will get that free, simple but profound download to find the answers on your own. As I always say, a good coach doesn't tell her clients exactly what to do. She guides them to find the answers for themselves, because that way you do it in your own way, right? And it really has meaning and has purpose and really brings this concept of ikigai to life. And the beauty of downloading this is that, as you can see on the sidebar, which is why I love this platform, it's called Member Vault. If you're looking for another golden nugget, I can't speak highly enough about Member Vault. It's a wonderful one-stop shop platform to where, if you notice, you see my freebie, but on the left, you can see other programs that I offer as well in my world. And I'm continuously updating this. I'm actually working on an entire freebie hub now that's going to have my best Facebook Lives, podcasts, tons of free content. Because if you can't tell, I have a big heart and I wear my heart on my sleeve. And I truly do believe that exactly when you do what you love, money comes. So I'm happy to share this wisdom and all the work that I've done. It's taken me years and years to hone in and to share it with all of you. And that's bit.ly/my reason for being.
Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, so the website, just in case you missed that, it's a shortened website, and it's bit, so it's bit.ly. A lot of you know what bit.ly is, but it's bit.ly, not .com. So bit.ly/my reason for being, all together one word, my reason for being. So bit.ly/my reason for being, and you will end up and land on the page that you see in front of you right now if you're watching us here on the live video, the Mind Body Business Show. Fantastic. And thank you so much for yet another golden nugget, sharing her tools and resources she's using, Member Vault. We found out before the show started, as we were talking before, we're both tech geeks and we love this stuff. We eat it up, we devour it. It moves our needle. And so when she said that, I was writing it down because I have my own go-tos as well for membership and for learning management systems and things like that. And I'm always looking, always. It doesn't matter if I thought I've got the best of the best of the best. I want to see if there's something that can even eclipse that. And so thank you for that additional tidbit.
Wow.
For those of you that aren't techie, hopefully you have a team or a person that helps in that realm. Forward that on to them so they can take a look at it. Always very important to have a team around you, because if you're going at it as a solopreneur for any duration, you're going to approach burnout very fast, especially once you start seeing success and more clients are coming in. There's more to do.
Yes.
So thank you so much. Oh, my goodness.
Thank you. This has really been fun.
You have been amazing. Didn't expect any less, but just amazing. And I want to thank everyone for coming on. We've got Fifi, Yvonne, Marcia, Burica, Jay Furtado, Marcia Green, Don Filia, I think. I'm not sure if I'm reading that right. And for those that asked the question, like Christine Lindstrom, so Marcia Green, thank you for asking the question. I appreciate everybody and your time for being here tonight. Look for us coming up again on the show, coming up very soon. To find out when the show's coming on, you can get an automated notification. And all you need to do is go to the Mind Body Business Show, as you see on the top right above my head, .com. And just you'll see buttons all over the place. Click one of those buttons, it'll take you all the way to the bottom, and you just opt in. You just give your information, and all we ever use that for is to notify you of the next show when it's coming. At the moment, it's going live, and it gives you the link to come directly to watch it. So very little work involved, and it shows all of our upcoming guests. We've got guests coming all the way up through January, already booked. It's amazing. I love what I get to do because of people like Jessica. She is an amazing, amazing young woman. And yes, she is very young. No matter what she tells you, don't listen to her. Jessica Silverman is an amazing young entrepreneur, and I'm so thankful for you to come on and spend this hour with not just myself, but with everyone who's getting to absorb your wonderful tidbits and value. So thank you so much, Jessica.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for holding the space. It's really been a wonderful experience. And you definitely are a techie, because I must tell everybody on the back end, like, I knew every step of the way what was going to be upcoming. And I think that's a true testament to the system that you've built, Brian. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm an automation freak, and I love it because it does nothing but save me and my team a ton of time. It takes a lot of time to develop, but once it's there, oh, baby, what a godsend. All right, Jessica, thank you so much once again. On behalf of Jessica Silverman, this is Brian Kelly, your host, saying good night and be blessed. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye now.
Thank you for watching and listening. This has been the Mind Body Business Show with Brian Kelly.